Well, in the latest that we are breaking to you now, this is fresh information that has just come in, and as per the information we have some figures that the NDRF has shared with the media, where the NDRF says it's monitoring the situation round the clock. At the moment, 2,900 people have been provided with medical assistance. And this is the latest that we have on the NDRF rescue operation, where the NDRF has put out several bits of information here, where NDRF responders are selflessly engaged in rescue and evacuation activities with full zeal and commitments on the 11th consecutive day today. That's what the statement says. 58 NDRF teams are working in difficult conditions and terrains to deal with the worst flood over a century. Though the condition is improving in some places as water is starting to recede, NDRF has scaled up its response activities in places which are still affected. That is Tiruvalla and Chenganur, as well as in Elava and parts of Idukki. Additional NDRF teams are being mobilized to these places from adjoining places to rescue marooned families from the flooded parts. Besides, medical camps are being established by NDRF teams in several areas to provide pre-medical care to the needy people. Multiple requests are being received on the social media platforms and the helpline number, all of which have been promptly responded to. NDRF statement also says that the teams have rescued 6 people in Alapura, evacuated 2,530 from various flooded areas of Alapura, Ernakulam, Patanmita and Idukki. Let me go across now to our reporter Pramod Madhav, who is in Ernakulam. He has in fact been reporting relentlessly on the ground situation, also taking a round of several of those relief camps. I would like to go across to Pramod to give us an understanding of the ground situation as of now. Pramod, of course, the forecast says that the rainfall is gradually reducing. The Chief Minister has assured that it's now time for the restoration and rebuilding to begin. But let's not forget, it's not as if every single person has been rescued. There's still some people waiting in areas that are flood ravaged. Give us the latest situation, please.
Well, that is so true. It doesn't look like it's the time has come for rescue. Repairing, because a lot of people are yet to be rescued as well. We're standing in a location called as Fact Township High School. This is a kind of area that is surrounded by rivers on 4 sides, so it's becoming very difficult. And in fact, as we speak, this school has been very helpful to the people, because on one side you have close to rescued 800 people who are staying over here, and also the army contingent who's going for rescuing these people are also here. In fact, the army men here right now have gone out to find out like people who are stranded across this particular river Periyar, and they have been bringing people over to this place as well. I have to tell you that most of the food supplies that is being provided over here are through sponsors, so the general public is playing a very important role, and the people are placed over here. This is a very decent looking campsite where the people have been given a place to board, and they are provided food also on time. Even in fact, I have the person who's actually running this campsite. So can you tell us more information about this campsite?
I think around 223 families are there, and nearly 715 peoples are staying there. And this is one of the panic situation. Here is a panic situation. One Patalakad, that place, fully dipped in water.
It is still dipped in water?
Still dipped in water. Okay. I think the rescue work is going on, and scope is, the water is decreasing. But the situation is still continuing.
How about electricity and other facilities?
Because this is under fact premises. Yesterday, that area is also dipped in water. The transformer is fully dipped, and that drinking water problem was also there. So now situation is changed. Yesterday, from yesterday itself, we have got supply.
So they are all rescued from the areas around the place. You could see behind them. Are they?
Yeah.
പത്തേലക്കാട് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ സ്ഥലത്താണ്. ഇപ്പം ഇത് ബാധിച്ചപ്പെട്ട ഞങ്ങളുടെ ഏരിയയിലാണ് കൂടുതലായിട്ട് ഏറ്റവും കൂടുതൽ വീടിൻ്റെ മേളിൽ. ഇപ്പം എൻ്റെ വീടിൻ്റെ മുകളിലാണ് ഇപ്പോൾ വെള്ളത്തിൻ്റെ ലെവൽ നേരത്തെ കണ്ടിരുന്നത്. ഇപ്പോൾ തുറച്ചിറങ്ങിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. ആ സൺസൈഡിൻ്റെ ഹൈറ്റിലേക്ക് വെള്ളം താഴ്ന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഒട്ടുമിക്കവർക്ക് ഇപ്പോൾ പെട്ടെന്നാണ് വെള്ളം റൈസ് ആയത്. പെട്ടെന്ന് കയറി വന്നപ്പോൾ ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് കയ്യിലുള്ള ഡ്രസ്സുകൾ ഇട്ടേക്കണ ഡ്രസ്സ് എപ്പോഴും വന്നേക്കണവരുണ്ട്. കുറച്ചവർക്ക് കുറച്ചൊക്കെ എടുക്കാൻ പറ്റിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. പിന്നെ ചിലവരുടെ വീടിൻ്റെ ആധാരം.
എത്ര മണിയുള്ള
ഒരു വെളുപ്പാങ്കാലം മുതൽ കയറി തുടങ്ങി. അപ്പം വെച്ചാൽ കുട്ടികളൊക്കെ വിളിച്ചെഴുന്നേപ്പിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് പെട്ടെന്ന് പോരേണ്ട ഒരു അവസ്ഥയാണ് ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നത്.
So he claims that he was without any information the water started to rise, and that is on the wee hours of the morning, and they had to just leave with whatever they could grab in their hand, and they were brought over here. നിങ്ങൾ ഇവിടെ ഡയറക്റ്റ് ആയിട്ട് വന്നോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ റെസ്ക്യൂ ചെയ്ത ബോട്ടിൽ എങ്ങനെ എടുത്തുന്നോ?
ഇല്ല, ഞങ്ങൾ നേരിട്ട് വരിക ചെയ്ത് ഇവിടേക്ക് വെള്ളത്തിൽ നിന്ന് നീന്തിയിട്ട് കുറേ പേരെ
യു സ്വാം
എന്തോ
നിങ്ങൾ
നീന്തി കരക്ക് കയറി വന്നായിരുന്നു. പിന്നെ കുറേ പേരൊക്കെ കൂടെ കൂട്ടി ക്യാമ്പ് ഇപ്പോൾ ഇവിടെ ക്യാമ്പ് ഓപ്പൺ ആക്കി തന്നായിരുന്നു. അപ്പം ഇവിടേക്ക് വന്നു.
ഫാമിലി മെമ്പർ എത്ര പേർ ഇവിടെ ഉണ്ട് ഇപ്പോൾ?
ഞങ്ങളുടെ 32 ഫാമിലി അല്ലേ? പത്തേലക്കാട് 36 ഫാമിലി ഉണ്ട് ഇപ്പോൾ ഇവിടെ. പത്തേലക്കാട് 36 ഫാമിലി ഉണ്ട്. പിന്നെ ഈ അടുത്ത് തന്നെ ഫ്ലാറ്റുകളിൽ നിന്നൊക്കെയുള്ള ആളുകൾ താഴത്തെ ഫ്ലോർ മൊത്തം പകുതിയോളം മുങ്ങിയാണ്. അപ്പോൾ അവിടെ നിന്ന് ആളുകളും അതിനകത്ത് വന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്.
Close to 32 families have come to this spot, and he claims that they had to swim across the river and they came to this spot, and this has become a haven for them. നിങ്ങൾ എവിടെ നിന്ന് വന്നു?
ഞങ്ങൾ പത്തേലക്കാട് ഏരിയയിലാണ്. ആ ഭാഗത്ത് 36 വീടുകളുണ്ട്. ഏകദേശം ഒരു 2:30 മണിയോടുകൂടിയാണ് വെള്ളം പെട്ടെന്ന് കയറി വന്നത്. വൈകുന്നേരം ഞങ്ങൾ ഇവിടെ ക്യാമ്പിലേക്ക് എത്തിയിരുന്നു. പക്ഷേ ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് സാധനങ്ങളൊന്നും തന്നെ എടുക്കാൻ പറ്റിയില്ല. വീട് മൊത്തം കൂട്ടി പഠിക്കുന്ന വിദ്യാർത്ഥികളുടെ എല്ലാ ബുക്കുകളും രേഖകളും സർട്ടിഫിക്കറ്റുകളൊക്കെ വെള്ളത്തിനടിയിലാണ്. ഒന്നും തന്നെ നമുക്ക് പെരയുടെ അകത്തുനിന്ന് രക്ഷപ്പെടുത്താൻ സേഫാക്കാൻ പറ്റിയില്ല എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. ഉടുതുണി പോലും ആ ഉടുത്ത തുണിയല്ലാതെ നമുക്ക് മറുതുണിയായിട്ടൊന്നും തന്നെ ഇല്ല. പിന്നെ അവിടെ അപായങ്ങളൊന്നും തന്നെ അപകട സാധ്യത ഒന്നും ഉണ്ടായിട്ടില്ല. ജനങ്ങളെല്ലാം സുരക്ഷിതരാണ്. അവിടുത്തെ എല്ലാവരും ഇപ്പോൾ ഈ ക്യാമ്പിൽ ഉണ്ട്. ക്യാമ്പിനെ സംബന്ധിച്ച് പറയുകയാണെങ്കിൽ ഏറ്റവും വലിയ ക്യാമ്പായിട്ട് ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് തോന്നുന്നു. ഇത്തിരി വെള്ളത്തിൻ്റെ ഡിലേ മാത്രമേ ഞങ്ങൾക്കിപ്പോൾ വന്നിട്ടുള്ളൂ. ബാക്കി ഭക്ഷണ സൗകര്യങ്ങളും എല്ലാം ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് ഉണ്ട്. എല്ലാം നല്ല രീതിയിലാണ്. പിന്നെ ഞങ്ങൾക്കൊരു ഇപ്പം ഇനി വീടുകളെ സംബന്ധിച്ച് അവിടെ ഏകദേശം വീടുകളുള്ളതെല്ലാം പഴയ വീടുകളാണ്. അപ്പം ഇനി ഇപ്പം ഇത്രയും ദിവസം വെള്ളത്തിൽ നിൽക്കുന്നതിൻ്റെ പേരിൽ ആ വീടുകൾക്ക് എങ്ങനെ എന്ത് സംഭവിക്കുമെന്ന് ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് അറിയില്ല. അപ്പം അതിനൊരു സുരക്ഷിത മാർഗം എത്രയും പെട്ടെന്ന് ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് ചെയ്ത് തരണം. ഞങ്ങളുടെ കൊച്ചുമക്കളാണ് കൂടുതലും അവിടെ ആ ഏരിയയിൽ താമസിക്കുന്നത്. വൃദ്ധരായ വയസ്സന്മാരും ഉണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ അവരുടെ സുരക്ഷിതത്വം ഞങ്ങളിനി എന്നാ അങ്ങനെ ക്ലീൻ ചെയ്ത് ആ പെരയിലോട്ട് കയറിയാൽ എങ്ങനെ ഇതെങ്ങനെ A to Z വരെ ഞങ്ങൾക്കത് തുടങ്ങേണ്ടി വരും. അതിനൊരു മാർഗം കിടപ്പാടം, അതാണ് ഏറ്റവും പാർപ്പിട സൗകര്യം ഏറ്റവും വലുതാണ് ഞങ്ങൾക്ക്.
So she's saying like they have left everything for the safety of their life. They have left back all whatever they belong to them, even the certificates of the children, the books and everything. And in fact, the houses have been underwater for a very long period. Now they are afraid that it is not stable and can collapse anytime. So they are pleading with the government that this right now, as you mentioned, it is still the moment of rescue, not repair, because more people are being brought from the Periyar River side areas, and they are being brought over here. They claim that once it is done, the government should worry about construction and other sides so they can start their life again.
So that is the story of thousands of people in Kerala. Pramod, thanks for bringing that to us. And now let me introduce our expert panel of guests joining us in this broadcast. Mr. Arun Ram, resident editor, Times of India, joining us from Chennai. Advaita Kala, author. Santosh Kumar, former director of SARC Disaster Management Center. Shreyams Kumar, joint managing director of Mathrubhumi and the Kerala Regional Committee chairman of the Indian Newspaper Society. I welcome all of you to this program. Thanks for joining us. Now, what I find interesting is that the Chief Minister just made a statement to the media saying that people are returning to their homes. It is now time to rebuild and restore. But when we just spoke to our reporter on the ground, it seems that is far from the reality. There are a lot of people who are still waiting for rescue. And sure enough that the armed forces have done its bit to pitch in with all efforts to rescue and bring relief. But there are a lot of people who have had to fend for themselves. If I can go across first to Mr. Arun Ram, resident editor, Times of India. Arun, since you are closer to the ground, give us a sense of what the reality is.
As the Chief Minister said, we understand that more than 8 lakh people have been moved to refugee camps, which should speak about the enormity of the whole thing. I think it was only in the last 2 days, probably the rescue services, including the army, have come to terms with the enormity of the thing. Yes, I think the first 3 days, it remained fairly unknown, the enormity of the whole thing. That is now it is good that we've started hearing more clarity on the ground. Of course, it hasn't made the task any easier, but at least the government seems to be in better control, and so is the NDRF and the Army and the Navy and other rescue operations happening. I think the biggest strength Kerala has got so far has been from youngsters who have been volunteers, and they've been doing a much better job, I'm told, than many of these our forces. Not to make light of what the forces are doing, but I think the spontaneous things, neighborhood people have been coming together and doing it in after first couple of days of panic. They've got their act together and they've been doing it in a scientific way. That's what we hear. That is something which we have to be happy about.
Right.
But I think the bigger thing now, the challenges would be more about diseases as the water recedes.
Absolutely.
In many parts, water recedes. I think the bigger challenge would be
yes, the epidemic scare, and that is generally how things flow after floods. The epidemic scare follows. But before we go to that point, let's first talk about the current realities, the current challenges. I also want to bring in Shreyams Kumar, Joint Managing Director of Mathrubhumi. Shreyams, since you have seen it all perhaps in the last few days, how devastating it has been, give us your perspective, your analysis of the ground situation as we speak.
Asking me?
Yes, Mr. Shreyams Kumar, please. Mr. Shreyams Kumar, are you able to hear me? I wanted you to give us an understanding of the ground realities. What are the big challenges and what are the immediate concerns for the government of the day? Santosh Kumar, I beg your pardon. I perhaps got your name wrong. Sorry. Yes.
Yeah, that's what. Today's the reality is like that. We need to think, and 3 or 4-fold kind of a work would be there. Number one would be like that we require is to understand that many people are still to be evacuated as is being reported from the ground zero. So that focus would be there, and the second focus would be on the relief camps where the people are being brought from the different places and they would continue to remain there for at least 7 to 8 days. Unless and until that the houses are getting repaired or some efforts are there. The third would be that people would start also moving out to their own houses if they will find it okay to move in if the water recedes. But the challenges would be that making house as a kind of a livable condition. So that new set of requirement would emerge. Like say that many of the houses which had not been demolished or destroyed totally or damaged totally by flood, and it is still in the living condition, they have to repair. Like you need set of skilled people like carpenter you might require, you require painter you might require electrician to make the fitting and all. So the new set of requirement would be there for making people to go home back once the water recedes. So, but the current challenge is still pressing need is to provide this provide to water, healthcare system, and also the medicine, the old age person to be taken care of well. So these are the requirements. Are still in the relief camp for another say 1 week of time.
Right. All right. So those are the important challenges. Now, at the same time, I want to know from you, before I go to my next guest, Mr. Santosh Kumar, that, typically in a situation like this, we understand this is a Herculean task now. First, of course, to evacuate, to rescue people from the stranded locations, then to, provide the essential supplies. And then, like you said, the restoration, the rebuilding process. Now, ideally, what should be the SOP? And in your observation, to what extent are we moving in the right direction in Kerala?
I think Honorable Chief Minister has mentioned, and also Honorable Prime Minister's announcement of yesterday's, he focused on 5 things other than the monetary grant, which has been 500 crores. He said that activating the power sectors, activating the national highway, activating the insurance and banking industries, activating this other systems of like employment guarantee schemes. So making sure at one of the centrally sponsored schemes are getting integrated with the state work, with the state efforts which are being taken by the state governments and the local government, and also the people, because the people's efforts are to be really commended in terms of the kind of work which they are doing. So the multi-agency, multi-coordinated and same kind of work to be started parallelly. So rescue operation will go parallelly, along with the relief management will go parallelly, and third also the restoration process would begin. So idea is to start preparing for the long term and also the medium term recovery at the same point of time.
Right. So it's going to be a huge collaborative effort. Citizens, the government of the day, the armed forces, all of them, all these agencies, various agencies coming together will have to pull out Kerala of this crisis. I will go across to Advaita, but before that, I need to get in another ground report from my colleague Anjali, who is currently in Pathamamthitta, and this is one of the areas that have been very badly affected. Anjali, tell us from the location that you are in, what do you see around you? What are the difficulties people are facing at the moment?
Frida, right now I'm at one of the major relief centers in Pandalam in Pathanamthitta district. This is called the NSS Higher Secondary School. Now they have turned this into a major relief center, and there are around 500, more than 500 people who are camped here. Right now they are being provided with all the materials required, which include food, clothes, medicines and everything. And there are also many places in Pandalam which comes under the Pandalam Municipal Corporation, which are basically remote areas. In these remote areas, most of these relief activities are not happening properly. They are not being provided with all these materials that are being provided at these major camps. So it has become very difficult for them to come to these places and access all these relief activities that are happening here.
Right. So accessibility is a very, very big concern. Advaita, one of the points that Arun Ram made, and I found it extremely interesting, that how people come together to help each other, and the spirit of Kerala must be saluted in that sense, that, you know, people who don't have much for themselves are willing to, you know, extend a helping hand to others. We have seen how the fishermen community have given up everything that they have to save their fellow men. What do you make of that? Do you think that is a spirit that the country has much to learn from?
No, absolutely. And, you know, people have even lost their lives, you know, ordinary citizens who have helped out and, you know, stepped in at a point when there wasn't any help around, you know, really put themselves in harm's way. Yes. And I know of 2 instances where people have lost their lives, you know, from the RSS also. So I think there are all these different organizations that are forgetting all kinds of past you know, any kind of animosities or anything, and just coming together in really the spirit of humanity and helping out. You know, I come from a state called Uttarakhand. Of course, we know what happened in 2013 with the floods there, the cloud burst there, and the kind of devastation it caused. And I can tell you from that experience that it's a very, very long journey ahead. The one thing that we have not spoken of is, of course, the psychological trauma of something like this. Yes. When you speak of rescue and recovery of people and rehabilitation, what will also happen is, and you know, it's sort of a morbid thing, but it's important to say this, is that when the waters recede, you will find people who have been missing, who are no longer with us. And all of those things are extremely traumatic for family, for local populations. It's a trauma that takes a long, long time to heal. And I think that's the psychological aspect of it, Absolutely. Which will last a lot longer than, you know, the roads and the bridges and things like that being built.
Right. One is the material.
And of course, missing ones. You know, there will be people, I hope not too many, who have not been found as yet. And you know, those kind of situations.
Absolutely.
So I really
think
at this
tragedy
point of time,
of immense
we need
proportions.
To have some sort of counseling in place.
Yes, absolutely. And that will come later. Perhaps the immediate concern, of course, is to at least bring the essential supplies, the food, water, shelter that is missing. But like Advaita says, perhaps with time we will realize the proportion, the magnitude of this tragedy when we find out the number of missing people and those who have lost their family members and the psychological impact of it all. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back with more information. Well, the deluge in Kerala has undoubtedly caused a shortage of essential commodities. Remember, there is a communication breakdown and that complicates matters to a huge extent. Relief camps across and Nakulam are at the moment running out of medicines. There is also a shortage of paramedical staff. In Kochi, for instance, there is an acute shortage of fuel, since nearly 33 petrol pumps have been submerged. Our correspondent Pramod Madhav filed this report.
This is one of the locations called as Adlax International Convention Center, and a certain kilometers beyond the point we can't go. This is actually working as a makeshift collection point, and also it's helping out with the sorties. Earlier you saw one Indian Navy aircraft taking things from this particular area. This is how they place it. You have different items. These are items like this one is in specific is about clothing only, gents, ladies and children, and especially also for camp also certain things have been brought in. I have to tell you that most of these things are new. They are not used, and everybody, if I had, like, if my camera person could pan, you could see that everyone in this place are general public. We don't see any kind of much kind of authorities at this point. They are well coordinated. They are working on their own. But I have also to tell you that as and when the supply enters, it's depleting, and so it's very worrisome for them. That's the reason they are actually claiming that they need more help. I'm also getting information that various supplies are at Trivandrum, and it's not reaching this point because Kochi airport is closed, and Trivandrum is almost 7 hours journey from this part. This condition they have to understand. The second thing is, whatever contingent that is coming from Tamil Nadu also gets stopped at Thrissur. This is also a complaint that's being brought away because from Thrissur it's being distributed, but this is one of the worst areas that has been affected as well. Ernakulam, Alappuzha, Aluva, those things are completely inaccessible. Even we tried going yesterday, it was totally inaccessible. In fact, we have certain volunteers who are actually claiming that medicine has become a bigger issue right now. Generic medicines are the ones they are requiring. I'll just, can you please tell us, like, what are the requirements in this spot right now?
ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് ഇവിടെ കൂടുതൽ റിക്വയർമെൻറ്റ്സ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഡ്രസ്സുകളാണ്, എസ്പെഷ്യലി അണ്ടർഗാർമെൻറ്റ്സ് ആണ്. അണ്ടർഗാർമെൻറ്റ്സ് ഒന്നുമില്ലാതെയാണ് എല്ലാവരും യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. സാനിറ്ററി ഐറ്റംസ് ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് ആവശ്യമുണ്ട്, ഡ്രസ്സുകൾ ആവശ്യമുണ്ട്. മെയിൻലി ഇത്ര സാധനങ്ങളാണ് ഞങ്ങൾക്കിവിടെ എത്രയും വേഗം എത്തിച്ച് കിട്ടേണ്ട സാധനങ്ങൾ. ഇവിടെ നിൽക്കുന്ന ആരും ഞങ്ങളെല്ലാവരും ഇൻഡിവിജ്വലി വന്ന് ഇനിഷ്യേറ്റീവ് എടുത്ത് ഓരോരോ വർക്കുകളും ചെയ്യുന്നതാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ഒരു NGOൻ്റെ കീഴിലും അല്ല ഞങ്ങൾ വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്നത്, ഒന്നിൻ്റെയും കീഴിലല്ല ഞങ്ങൾ വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്നത്, പേഴ്സണലി ഇൻഡിവിജ്വൽ ഞങ്ങൾ വന്ന് വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്നതാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് ഇത്തരം സാധനങ്ങളാണ് റിക്വയർമെൻറ്റ്സ്. എത്രയും വേഗം
But she says, like, as soon as possible you need to bring these items. The first one is requirements of dress, especially undergarments and sanitary kits and sanitary napkins and everything. And you could see that as and when it comes, it's leaving. These are done by the general public. They are not coordinated under any NGO or any government authorities. So they are doing it on their own interest. Medicine
മെഡിസിൻ സാധനങ്ങൾ ഇപ്പോൾ ഞങ്ങൾക്കൊരു ഡോക്ടറെ കിട്ടിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ ഞങ്ങൾ അതിനനുസരിച്ച് ക്യാമ്പുകളിൽ അവർക്ക് ഏത് മെഡിസിനാണ് ഉപയോഗിക്കുന്നത് ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് അറിയത്തില്ല. അപ്പോൾ ഇപ്പോൾ ഞങ്ങൾ സോർട്ട് ചെയ്തിരിക്കും. ഞങ്ങളുടെ കയ്യിൽ മെഡിസിൻസ്, പെയിൻ കില്ലേഴ്സ് ഇല്ല, ആൻറ്റിബയോട്ടിക്സ് ഇല്ല, പ്രഷറിൻ്റെ ടാബ്ലറ്റ്സ് ഇല്ല, എക്കോസ്പിരിൻ പോലത്തെ കാർഡിയാക് ടാബ്ലറ്റ്സ് ഇല്ല. ഇതൊക്കെയാണ് ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് എമർജൻസി ആയിട്ട് വേണ്ടതും എമർജൻസി ആയിട്ട് പേഷ്യൻസിന് ആവശ്യമുള്ളത്. എസ്പെഷ്യലി ഷുഗർ പേഷ്യൻസിന് കഴിക്കാനുള്ള ടാബ്ലറ്റ്സുകളാണ് ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് ഏറ്റവും അത്യാവശ്യമായിട്ട് വേണ്ടത്.
Okay, so that was one of those volunteers talking from a collection center about the shortages there. I want to go across now to Anjali once again. Anjali, you are at a relief camp, and getting people rescued and bringing them to this kind of a shelter is only half the battle won, because then starts the process of sustaining them. What are the difficulties that people are facing? What is the sentiment among the people? There must be a huge sense of loss. There must be fear. What do they have to say?
Right now I am in Pandalam, one of the major relief camps that are set in Pandalam, which is in NSS Higher Secondary School, and there is around 500 to 600 people who are staying right now, and most of the people are here because they are not able to go back home. Even after the water has come down, they are not able to go back home, and I think we should talk to them and try to find out what they have to say.
हिंदी पर വെള്ളം പാനി ബനികലിനൊക്കെ ബാധ
तो അത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് അപ്പോൾ വെള്ളം പോയാലും വീട് നല്ല രീതിയിലായിരിക്കും തോന്നുന്നു
അല്ല
അപ്പോൾ എന്തൊക്കെയാണ്
ബുദ്ധിമുട്ട് കറണ്ട് കറണ്ട് മൊത്തം പോയി, വീട്ടിലെ ഉപകരണങ്ങൾ മൊത്തം പോയി, സാധനങ്ങളെല്ലാം ഖരാബായി, കുഞ്ഞുങ്ങളുടെ സർട്ടിഫിക്കറ്റ് എല്ലാം പോയി, ഒന്നുമില്ല.
വീട്ടിലിപ്പം വെള്ളം പോയി കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ വീട്ടിൽ പോകാൻ പറ്റുന്ന ഒരു അവസ്ഥയിലാണോ?
അല്ല.
അതിനിപ്പോൾ എന്താ ചെയ്യേണ്ടതെന്ന് പറയാം.
വീട് എല്ലാം മൊത്തത്തിൽ ഇതായി കിടക്കുകയാണ്. വീടെല്ലാം വേണ്ടുന്ന സഹായങ്ങളെല്ലാം ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് ചെയ്തു തരണം.
Here we have one of the organizers of this camp.
No, if you could first tell us what was spoken there, Anjali.
Kollam district. Actually, the flood is affected us that we came from there and started here on camp.
Okay, so they are actually worried about like whatever they have lost. They have lost a lot of things, including their like valid documents and all those materials that they had in their houses, and they don't know what to do after this. They are really worried about it. They're just saying that yeah, we lost everything, and we don't know what to do after this.
Right.
And yeah, we have here one of the organizers of this relief camp.
Yes, go ahead quickly.
Okay,
please.
actually they affected everything, and their houses are under the water only. They cannot go back, and we are planning that state level Jamaat Islami movement conducting a relief organization, and the relief cell also we formed, and district level also we formed relief. After the these camps, we will try to help them maximum. That's we are thinking.
Okay, from here you are trying, you can understand this is a well-organized relief camp. So
so there are a lot of volunteers, there are a lot of people on the ground who are simply working towards helping those in distress, and it's very heartening to see that actually. Mr. Arun Ram, again I want to ask you this question because you mentioned the fact that there are so many volunteers out there who are doing a stellar job of reaching out to those who are in need of help, but at this point in time another crisis that has emerged is the breakdown in communication, the road, the rail, the air traffic. That has perhaps complicated matters. Can you give us a sense of why that would be a major concern at the moment, because accessibility to certain areas is a huge problem?
Yes, that has been the problem from day one. In fact, when the NDRF landed also, they themselves found it very difficult to reach many of these neighborhoods which have been fast going underwater. That remains a problem. I'm told that more than 250 big bridges, there could be several more smaller bridges which have gone either underwater or have re-emerged, but the stability of which we need to ascertain. So the problems in future are going to be, even after the water recedes, many places could remain inaccessible because we don't know the stability of many of these bridges and roads. And several places around the affected areas, they have been marooned, they've been cut off. So such is the terrain that even choppers may not be able to reach some places with heavy canopy. So it is a real challenge, but as I said earlier, it looks like we seem to have the volunteers and the forces and the government seem to have got a better grip over matter. They are clearer in their words and deeds, which is a kind of a consolation.
Right. The last mile connectivity, like you mentioned, is a concern, but efforts are being made. The Chief Minister has said that bridges are being built at the moment, and there are teams deployed to actually check homes whether it is safe for people to return. Because in the statement that the Chief Minister made, he made it very clear that some people are already making efforts to get back to their homes. Now, whether it is safe to do so, that remains another concern. Santosh Kumar, if I can ask you at this point, because, we brought out some reports from collection centers, and there's a lot of relief material which has come, but there is always some sort of a discrepancy on what is required, what has come in excess, and what is actually required. So how do we make corrections in those things, to establish an effective network of distribution system? How challenging is that?
Look, I would say this is the first, we are seeing this is a very good kind of attempt by all the people. Country stands behind this Kerala. Everyone is connected, and be it central government, be it state government, and the local people, volunteers, their different organizations, and all are aiming at to reaching out to the people and the services to be provided to them. The first and foremost challenge is that things are getting accumulated, but point is to be noted that Kerala is a different state than any other states of the country. So we need to understand what people requires, the need of the people that is must be understood. So it is essentially to be looked into what people require at this stage of time. And the second is this: once the accumulation of the things are coming from different parts of the country, getting one state, two states, third state, fourth state, that has to be disseminated. But that is possible only when the road communication and instead would be started very smoothly. Otherwise, now that as has been reported this morning, that the rail services have been restored. So ideally is to, now this challenge is to taking from staging area where the things have been put in, not taking it to the railway and then railways to transport to the required places. Then the third would be that if still the water transport is required for taking those materials, that can be taken out. So ideally is to, one is the accumulation and then taken to the last mile with the distribution to the last mile. The third important is this, that this would continue. If the water recedes, then it's fine. If it is continue for 2-3 days, then the challenge would be much more. So 3.4 people, 3.5 lakhs of people or 4 lakhs of people nearly going to be the kind of in the camp area. So in the camp area, how we are strictly following the norms and so that any disease and other things doesn't break out. So medical emergency should not come out there. So all preventive steps to be taken right there, other than providing medicines and all requirements. So preventive steps are required to be taken up with the camps, and also that the people who are living in the houses, they are going back to the houses. And I would see again, I would repeat, the challenge is to providing this, I don't know, labor force availability in Kerala for providing huge task of recovery. So that has to be taken into account, that whether those kind of forces available to provide those services to the people in correcting roads, the bridges, and all the kind of housing, the cleaning up, everything that is required. So that has to be assessed with the local government, and also that that is a kind of a challenge which I see now.
Right. So, you know, a lot of help has to be extended to, not just in terms of the material help, but also, like Advaita was earlier pointing out, people need a lot of support from, of course, fellow citizens. Advaita, I want to ask you this question, since it has come up once again, about how in such situations, and we have heard so many of those people in relief camps saying that we have left everything behind and there is just about nothing that we have come with. Now, in a situation like this, one can just imagine the trauma that people would be going through. What kind of support do you think people require in these kind of crisis situations?
I think I think it's traumatic. It's not only, there can of course be the actual loss of somebody, but there's also it's death of sorts in psychologically speaking. There was mention of how people have left all their belongings behind. They've left school certificates behind. They've left everything really behind. And I'm not talking just in terms of maybe the material things that they have, but a lot of things that have meaning to them, that have value, that hold a lot of value for them. Those are all things that, especially when it comes to water damage, there's a lot of things that will be gone forever. And hence, reconciling to this, it's almost reconciling to a new life, it's almost mourning. There's going to be a period of mourning and a period then of recovery, the sort of 4 stages of grief that one goes through when it comes to natural disasters, because they're so sudden, they're so unanticipated, they're so furious that even people in control or supposed to be in control are left helpless very often. This could include governments, that could include, responsible members of families, everybody, So I think, there is a 4th step, that grieving process that people will have to go through. And also, the relief camp, I think Mr. Santosh raised a very important point, I mean, you have to
I'm interrupting you here, Advaita, because I have to bring in some information that my colleague Apurva is getting us. Yes, Apurva, over to you. I believe you are in one of those centers that is sending across relief material. Over to you for the latest.
Afrida, I'm currently here at the AIMS, one of the collection centers here. As you can see right now, at least 300 tons of materials are being transported now. All these materials which have been collected from various parts of Delhi, including Mayur Vihar, Noida, various other collection centers, has all been compiled here at AIMS. This truck that you're seeing here and the volunteers that you're seeing here are all relentlessly working towards packaging everything that they have in terms of these boxes, tightly secured boxes. That is the place where they're getting all those collection collection centers inside, putting in boxes after boxes into this truck. Now from here at AIMS, they will be going towards Kerala House, where from there it will be airlifted. Let me understand, what are the materials that has been collected here? These are the visuals that you can see. All of them, they're trying to pull in as much material as they can possible, including food materials, sanitary napkins, various others, and these are all been collected through the day from various parts. Let me understand, while I'm joined by one of the volunteers here, Vipin, to understand what are the materials that has been collected. How much of the material that you are seeing here has been collected from across?
Actually, this is around 20 tons of things. We have already sent also. The main things that we are sending today is, because we have got message from the state headquarters and from the Kerala House. We have talked to the Residence Commission also. So they have requested to send today only biscuits, ready-to-eat food items, sanitary napkins, soap, detergents, and such things only. We are not sending rice or anything today. We will be airlifting it by day after tomorrow.
So right now that we're seeing here, all these boxes, what does this contain at this point? So these boxes, are they containing medicines as well? Because there are certain areas which require medicines.
Yes. We are sending medicines also today. Basically, there are medicines. There are a lot of medicines here because we have given a list of medicines also. We have collected that list of medicines because it contains mainly antibiotics. It contains a tablet like Pandocid, like paracetamol, which are the basic drugs. We have basic first aid also here. We are sending here. Basically, to be precise, we are sending medicines. We are sending ready-to-eat food items. We'll be sending stationery items. We'll be sending sanitation items basically.
What about clothing? Are there various areas in Kerala which is also demanding clothing, undergarments? There are certain areas like Ernakulam, Alappuzha where are they wanting these items? Are they also being right now taken from here?
No, today they are it is being sent by Air India flight tomorrow. Okay. So they have asked us to, because as it's the emergency, the need of the hour is the things which I have already mentioned here. We have received all the items. We have kept it in hostel number 8. We have kept it in hostel number 3. We will be sending it day after tomorrow with the help of Army, Navy or Air Force. But right now we don't have any clothes here, but we have received many clothes which are fresh also. We have received, as you have told, you have mentioned, the undergarments, ladies undergarments and gender undergarments, they have a very huge requirement of that. We will be sending it within 2 days.
Finally, from here, where is this truck going to go? How often is this the first truck that is really going out to the Kerala House, or has this been happening for the last couple of days?
No, it is an arrangement made by the Kerala House Residence Commissioner. They have talked with them. They have talked with the airlines. It is the first time that we are sending through Kerala House. We have already sent through land. We have already sent through Navy. But this is the first time that we are sending through Kerala House. This is the first truck that is going.
And this is almost 20,000 tons of relief material that is going to be sent.
Yes, exactly.
What are you needing right now? What are the other materials that you want people to donate to various centers in and around Delhi?
Now, as I mentioned we need all these things which I have mentioned earlier. But in addition to that, we will require sanitary pads. We will require books, notebooks, because everything has been devastated. We need notebooks, we need pens, we need pencils that may be given to the students of the Kerala.
Okay, one final question. How many volunteers are currently inside who are working with you right now?
See, there are around 300 to 400 volunteers which is working across all over the Delhi. There are nurses. There are, because as it is done in the leadership of AIMS Nurses Union, I am the General Secretary of AIMS Nurses Union, I am Vipin. So, and we have here, he is from the Doctors Association, Students Doctors Association. Student Doctors Association is strongly with us. They are, we are going by hand. There is some football associations like Manjapada. There are many associations, there are many churches which are associated with us. Mainly, basically, as we have a collection center at AIMS, majority of the people are coordinating with us to send things to Kerala.
Yes. All right, thank you so much and appreciate all the efforts that you've put in right now. So you can see right now the collection center continuing to take place. They are trying to load as much as possible so that they can reach Kerala House at the earliest. There is a lot of motivation that we're also seeing right now on ground. They're cheering as quickly as they can to put all the materials inside, because remember, these are some essential commodities we're talking about. These are medicines, remember, which has been required in a lot of relief centers, something that even Kerala
and it is in fact appropriate that, you know, at a time like this, when we just in fact showed our viewers how some of the relief camps, people are waiting for these essential commodities. Let's just hope it reaches those who are most in need of them at the moment. I would like to thank all my guests for joining us here in this program. And India steps up to save Kerala, to help Kerala out of this crisis. But remember, the death toll stands at 357. Official figures indicate that 633,000 people are in relief camps at the moment. A lot remains to be done. The process of rebuilding, restoration and recovery has only begun. Thanks for watching.